Hey, sports fans! Welcome to another episode of J&J Sports Talk Podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest.
Miss Cynthia Stoltz. She's FSU alumni.
Hi,
so
guys.
today we're going to talk a lot about FSU. We're going to be hitting on them really hard.
Woo!
That's right. So just bear with us. I know y'all like us Tennessee and Vandy boys, but we're going to try to bring it into some local stuff today. So
I appreciate you guys letting me drop in.
well, thank you for being here. We're so honored.
Yeah,
we're so honored for you to be here.
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. I know not everybody thinks that women know much about sports, especially football, but I've been watching my guys for 50 years, and I know a lot more than you probably think I know.
And you are our first special guest, so congratulations on that.
Goodness,
So,
thank you.
so there
Thank
you go.
Well, I
Bells
feel
and
very,
balloons
very special. Thank you so much.
So, what do y'all think about? I just found out that Panama City has a semi-pro football team, and I want to support them, but I found out Saturday is the last game
I can't believe
before
I
the
didn't know
playoffs.
that.
Right? I can't believe none of us knew that. That it wasn't just plastered all over social media, all over the local media.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know if it's just that they don't want to support them, or
So I wonder if they're going to play teams like the Coastal Destroyers.
No. Well, yes,
The
yes, they
Coastal
do.
Destroyers is a.
I know
is
they
a
just
semi-pro
played
team.
like the Vikings or something like that, and they lost. There was a game in Alabama that the Post said they had to fight their way out of. That the game made it to halftime. So apparently it's a pretty rough league, which is, hey, that's right up my alley. You know, I love it when you go to a fight and a football game breaks out. So
Yeah, that's awesome. You got kind of like hockey. You got to fight just to watch a hockey game.
Exactly.
that's right.
But
So what do y'all think? Do you think they got a chance here, or do you think
Well,
there'll be a
just-
fan base?
Do you know anything else about, what kind of audience they draw?
I know the last post I saw just was really thanking everybody for supporting them. They've got different types of sponsorships, of course, which I'm kind of looking into. So as far as a fan base, I don't really know. I know they just started in December 14th is what from the post that I've seen, which is just a Facebook post. They in December they were hiring a head coach and still looking for players. I think now they've got their players and their coach.
And
So
they play at Arnold Field, you said?
I know this next game is at Arnold Saturday night,
Okay.
May 17th.
well, we have other like sports complexes that have football fields.
Right.
So I wonder if they're going to use multiple fields instead of just one.
I wonder that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know the semi-pro team that was here before the hurricane. A friend of mine and I worked the sound system for them and did the play-by-play. So that was really fun. That was a lot of fun. Got to see those guys play. But their fan base was only, they'd average 150, 200 people per game.
Okay.
And I'm not really thinking that this one's at the point where it's going to be much more than that. But
Until
I would
they
like to
start.
see it grow.
Yeah, putting it out there.
I would like to see
Not
it
keeping
grow.
it a secret.
Absolutely. I don't understand why it's been under locks. It just really confuses me. That would be a big thing, I would think, for the community.
I think it would be cool for Gulf Coast State College to get a football team.
That I've talked to several people at Gulf Coast that said they're not getting one because of the amount of commitment that it takes, the amount of money that it takes to house them, to do all that, to build a stadium for them, to do the scholarships, to do all of that, all the behind the scenes stuff. That since they're a 2-year college mainly, it's really not.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So if there's a 4-year university, I would say, yeah, probably they're going to do it.
I mean, there's quite a bit of people that go to Gulf Coast that they could probably make it a university, but again, it's the funds and the
It's on the state.
the amount of it's liability also.
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
like that. So, I mean, I get it.
So I saw another thing on a different note where Major League Baseball just released Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose to be available for the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm happy I lived to see it. Now, I don't know about Shoeless Joe, but I was a big Pete Rose fan.
I was too. And I mean, I'm a 1977 Reds guy. You know,
Charlie Hustle.
come on. And my favorite player of all time was Johnny Bench. And I've watched interviews with him about Pete, and he doesn't think Pete should be in.
And why not?
He said he was just that he was the guy that he was underhanded. But you cannot deny that he's the all-time hits leader. He's had the most at-bats. He's had the most games. You know, you can't deny this stuff. It's black and white.
And I may be wrong about this, but it was before all the juicing started.
Yes.
I mean, and it's just incredible that he's the all-time hits leader, you know? Without that.
Right.
Without that additive.
The record still stands to this day. And so I'm personally really glad that they opened it up for him. I hate that it has to be posthumously, but at least he's got the shot to be in now.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the one that betted against his own team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Someone else is doing it. Brittany Gaynor. Or Griner. Brittany Griner. She bet against her own team. So do we make an example of her like we did Pete and Shoeless Joe? Or
Well, you know, she got caught for marijuana going into Russia.
That's right.
Maybe she's trying to get thrown in jail here. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just
see. So my take on it. So I mean, I've said this in previous podcasts. I mean, it's all about your attitude. You could be a top player on a team, but if you have a crappy attitude off the field, does your attitude play a big part in you being able to go in the Hall of Fame?
I absolutely think it should.
Yeah,
Pac-Man Jones, Deion Sanders, you know, all these people that.
I'm a stickler about, you know, when you're playing for a team, you're representing a state, you're representing a city, you're representing a high school, you're representing a college, you know, whatever. So your attitude plays a big part. And if you have a bad attitude off the field, but you're a great player on the field, in my opinion, you're no better than the worst player on the field.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's only as
what
strong
I
as your
think.
weakest link.
Right, exactly. But just having, I said all that to say this. So having somebody bet against their own game, me personally, I think they should stay out of the Hall of Fame because that falls in the attitude that you have. I mean,
well, since Pete Rose was made an example of it, you know, you'd think that would stop or thwart hinder people from thinking they were going to get away with betting on their team.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, but evidently people don't learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
And, you know, facts are facts. He's still the all-time hit leader.
Yeah, he's a great player.
And we've got worse people in the Hall of Fame than Pete Rose, I think.
That could be an argument. Yes, we can talk about that all day.
That's a podcast in itself.
Yes. So I saw that FSU won their series against California this past week in baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
They came out of Cali with the win over the series.
Thank you for noticing that.
They're a force to be reckoned with in the NCAA.
So
for
sure. I've seen stuff that's saying that they're number 2. I've seen stuff saying that they're number 1. I've seen stuff saying that they're number 3. So,
and I've seen this as low as 8.
Yeah, and so I was doing my research, getting ready for this podcast, and they are number 1.
Well, it's sweet of you to say that, and I love hearing that because that's what I think. But you know, when you're number one, you got nowhere to go.
Right.
And
Exactly.
you know, we have
Everybody's
been
gunning for you.
Yep, and we have been to Omaha, I believe it's 23 times without coming back with the championship.
Yeah.
So if our goal right now is to host a regional, win it. get
And
a
they're
ticket
saying
to
that
Omaha.
y'all are going to host the NCAA tournament this year as well.
Yes. So, and you know, we've got Dick Howser Stadium is a gorgeous field, and I was sad because I was with my sweetie that's not really into sports, so I was unable to see what kind of setup they had in Cali. But I heard that was one impressive field.
Oh yeah, Cal does have an impressive field for sure. And when you're ranked number one,
There's a big
I can
target
tell you
market.
from experience, Tennessee started out the season and they got up to being ranked number one. They were on fire. But then people start gunning for you.
Oh,
you're the target
yes.
then.
Oh, yes. And then you start reading your own press. You start reading
there
your
you
own,
go.
you know,
Yeah.
Facebook and Insta articles and blah blah blah. And then you go, we're going to go out there and kick butt. And you get tripped up and lose.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
ultimately,
it's
these are
tough.
kids.
Yes,
These are kids.
exactly.
You start
and
getting a
that's-
big head and you start
Yes.
getting cocky, and then
Yes.
You know, Vanderbilt did take the Tennessee series this week.
Yes, my Vandy boys did. Yep.
Sorry.
There was a big fight at the last game.
Yeah, so
Because
you were telling me.
somebody ran their mouth and said that this is our state. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, so there was a
Uh-oh.
big fight.
Well, football season's coming. But, and I,
Man.
And then now, I tell you what. So we have Vanderbilt has the opportunity to win 8 games this season
in football,
in football, because we've got Diego Pavia coming back, we got Strolls coming back, we got our tight end coming back, we've got our entire offense coming back.
Your quarterback's coming back. Who is that?
Diego Pavia.
Okay.
Flavia, yeah.
Yeah, he's coming back. He's actually coming back for a 6th year.
Wow.
Yeah, so he went to the NCAA and said that one of his years he played junior college ball, and he's like, that shouldn't count towards the university ball. And the NCAA was like, well, no, we're not going to do that because it's not fair for the others and this, that, and the third. So Diego Pavia sued the NCAA and won. He won.
Okay, cool.
And so his only stipulation was he coming back for a 6th year to finish out Vanderbilt.
Well, and I think that's where the
And-
NIL is trying to go to is fighting for these players to have more eligibility, because they'll be with the NIL. They're more of an employee than a student.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And
So,
and I have to say, I know we're going to end up talking about the NIL, but I believe that with him being there and having that camaraderie with all those players and that unifying, being together all the time, running all the plays all the time, it makes a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
huge difference.
Absolutely.
And that is something that the NIL, unfortunately, it doesn't give us these days in
Nope.
sports. I mean, if you can continue to transfer after a year somewhere else, you're not getting any glue with the team. You're not.
Right.
These guys are not your brothers.
There's no
You
commitment.
know,
exactly. No
and
commitment.
No commitment, no loyalty.
Yeah.
so you could be absolutely right. They could have an 8+ win
Wow.
season.
Right. And so Pavia, his roommate is his tight end.
See, that's all what it's about.
Right.
Yep.
And so they're constantly in film. They're watching film. They're watching how they can better each other. Diego Pavia, I saw an interview on him. He goes every practice, every game. I look at my tight end, my roommate, and say, what do you think that I can do to get better? Mm-hmm. Do I need to run the ball more? Do I need to pass the ball more? Do I need to put a more spiral? Just stuff like that. And then vice versa. His tight end's like, hey, what route do I need to work on in practice? What route do I need to, that way you can throw me the ball and I can get that touchdown for you.
Exactly.
You know?
And they work off each other and with each other in a way that the coach can't work with.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a
What can't be-
brotherhood. It's
what
a
can't be taught,
Yeah, I mean,
actually.
and it's a family. That's what it
and,
is. With the NIL,
you
it's
know,
not a family anymore.
With Peyton Manning, what made him great? What made him elite? Yes, he never won a national championship at Tennessee, but what made him great and set him apart from everybody else is he breathed football. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't on the field, he was watching film. He was studying his technique, his moves, what he was doing in the pocket, his routes.
I hate to say it, but that's what made Nick Saban such a great coach.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I'm an Alabama fan. No, thank you. No time.
Well, I saw something that they were talking about making Nick Saban over the NIL.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be interesting.
It would be interesting, and I'm trying to make everything as fair as possible. I think Coach Saban would be fantastic in that role because I don't think that the committee that chooses who goes to these games, they shouldn't have that,
Right.
okay? Because some of those people have, they don't know football, okay?
Right.
And
They know
so
business.
that
That's what
is-
they know.
I'd love to see Coach Saban, but I would constantly be, wondering if, he's got a bias or, trying to favor the SEC.
Right.
And that's going to be something that we're going to soon, I think, in the future see. There's just not going to be that many conferences
Nope,
anymore.
they're all
There's
gonna
not-
combine.
And I think it's probably going to be the Big Ten and the SEC. But what I'm saying is,
I think
as
the
a-
ACC will. I think they'll make it.
I don't know.
I think they'll make
I
it.
don't know.
I think it's going to be, we're at a 12-team playoff right now, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what's going to happen is college is going to bring in the NFL style playoff system.
They have. I think they're going to have to.
Yeah, they're slowly bringing that in. Is what they're doing. And the 12-team playoff is just a trial run.
Oh yeah,
to
they're
see
doing
how well it'll work.
Exactly. And I kind of favor the fact that, maybe, just maybe, they need to get someone outside the world of football involved to figure this NIL stuff out, because it has to be figured out. Okay? It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be fair.
Yep.
And, I know that every fan base, every school cannot have deep pockets like the Texas schools, like Ohio State. They're just some that
the
we
Longhorns.
cannot.
They got
Just because you got more money
We
doesn't
can't-
mean you should have the best team.
Thank you. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
If you're going to make it competitive, and I just feel someone needs to step in and say, hey, we're going to take over. We're going to make this fair. And, some of you guys with deep pocket schools are not going to like it.
Yep.
But in order for this to be fair, this is what we have to do. Or you're never going to see your school in there.
Right.
And I don't think, I think what they've done, they've ruined college football enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
That if they don't step in and
Do something.
try, even on a temporary basis or let's see what happens basis, to make it fairer for every school, then I just don't think it'll ever work out.
Well, on that same note, kinda, I saw that opening day, Florida State plays Alabama.
Yes, we do.
They did not make it to prime time. They opted to go with Clemson and LSU,
Which is interesting.
which, okay, I understand. Florida State had a 2-5 season last year, or no?
No, it was
uh,
worse
5 and-
than that.
Yeah, it was like 5 and
2-8 or 2-11 or something. I don't
It was
know.
bad.
It was bad. I
But they
checked,
were-
I
and
checked
they
out
were-
after the second game, and I was in Ireland, by the way.
Well,
Do y'all still have ukulele?
yeah, no, it's the new quarterback they got. I just saw an
It's
interview with
Castellanos. He was
Yes.
formerly with Boston College.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Good. I'm glad.
yeah, he is actually
and he's-
and he's a
he's-
mobile quarterback.
and he is
can run it,
good.
He can throw it.
I've watched some film on him, and he's the real deal.
Yeah, I can check them out.
But I really think y'all got a shot at beating
I
Alabama.
tell you what, if y'all beat Bama, y'all will shut their season down.
Well, I will tell you this, and this is all I know, okay? I was at the game the last time we played Alabama, and we played in Jacksonville, and that was right when Saban had gotten there. I'm almost sure. And we beat him. And nobody counted on us to beat them. Everybody is counting us out, and this is what they're doing this time.
Yep.
So let's just see what happens.
Well, y'all offered a scholarship to a 5-star that is from Miami. He's the number 3.
Running back?
No, I think he's a tight end.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he's the number 3 in the state, or in the nation. Number 1 in the state. But if y'all can get it going, I thought it this last year. I thought y'all were going to do amazing last year.
You know, everybody was saying, "Oh, it's the revenge tour. It's the revenge tour." Well, of course we wanted revenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course we wanted revenge after we got snubbed for the playoff, and then we got to play Georgia, who, if the dude had only caught the ball in the SEC championship game, you guys could have gone. But no. And play some defense, okay, on the last play of the game. But don't get me started.
And Georgia, I'm sorry, Georgia's just, it's really unfair.
Yes, it was, because 13 of our guys said, no, we're not going to play them this game because we're going to the draft.
Well, and not only that,
and they did.
Georgia is an NFL team in college.
Yes, I know that.
I mean, they are
Yes,
stacked.
I know that.
They are stacked, just like Alabama used to be.
And I know a lot of Georgia people out there are going, oh, she's crying. No, I'm not. It's a fact that we had 13 of our players go to the draft.
So,
That's right.
So Kirby Smart is the only one to beat Nick Saban multiple times. Because Kirby Smart coached under Nick Saban.
Right.
Correct, and so did our offensive coordinator now, Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
Gus at Auburn, he
The-
beat him twice.
The guy that y'all's quarterback played under Gus Malzahn at, where did he come from?
Central Florida.
Well, he
UCF
initially signed with Gus at Central Florida.
Okay.
But then he played under him at,
Auburn?
I don't know. I just read it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's why he's choosing Florida State. But he's got a history with Gus. So that's a plus by all means.
And if you I don't know what it's like to play football. I wish I did. But if you can make a relationship or have a relationship with a man, that you're going to be in the trenches with, that tells you how you need to do this, or
Right.
just a little something different. You get a relationship
Someone that
with
knows
that
your
guy,
style.
you're going to always want to be with him.
Well, that was the thing with
Yeah.
the whole big blow up with Nico going to UCLA was, Coach Heupel, he knows Nico. He knew his style. He knew what he could do, what he couldn't do. And so he was making his team around that. Then when Nico left, now we've got we traded quarterbacks for UCLA. Anyway, Aguilar, thank you. We're having to redo our team because Heupel likes to center his team around his quarterback. Well, if you have an offensive coordinator that knows your style and knows your limits and knows what you can and can't do, there's a lot of room for advancement in that, because Gus will say, okay, if we run this play, he's not really good at this route. And so he may alter his play calling a lot due to that. And so, I think it's great that they've already got a history together.
Yeah, and back to DJ last year, our quarterback. I had high hopes for him, but Clemson fans on social media tried to warn us that this guy. Sorry, but this guy was a head case. But he had gone out to Oklahoma State and had a pretty, I guess, good year. I really wasn't following. I don't really follow the other teams, like I should. But he had kind of redeemed himself out there. So, he wanted to come and, it made it sound like, he was going to be a good fit for us. He wasn't, nobody can be Jordan Travis. But it seemed like he was trying to move his feet a little bit, but it was kind of like watching a grandfather clock move on the field. And so it was, obviously not, if we could have talked Cam Ward into coming to us, which was what we wanted, but I think Miami's, had a little bit deeper pockets than we did.
I think what really, especially last year, what, my opinion, what really killed y'all was, y'all's defense wasn't terrible, but it just seemed like
the cohesiveness wasn't there.
Yeah,
It wasn't
he wasn't.
team.
Mm-hmm.
It was
He was
individual.
right. He wasn't. They weren't protecting him. No. It's like. I mean, you could almost tell that it was kind of on purpose because they didn't like him.
Right.
That's
what I thought. And that's just what a layman could see too if you were watching.
Yeah,
exactly.
They weren't protecting their quarterback, and you could tell.
I mean, he was out for the season by the time we got to the Clemson game, so he didn't really even get to show his stuff against his old team. Right. And I know there's 1,000 things that play into games, and give you this edge or take away from you or whatever. I don't know what was with that team. For someone that's watched them for 50 years, I don't know what was with that team. I do not know because I was there in Ireland for the first drive. We ran down the field, scored a touchdown. Yeah, here we go, boys. We lose that game. Well, remember, the rules changed last year with the clock, okay? And if you don't manage that clock correctly, and I mean watch every second, you're not going to end up with the ball last. And guess what? You can't get it back. And that's kind of what the Georgia Tech coaches are to be commended. Because what they did is they got ahead and they just said, we're keeping the ball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we just, I mean, it was like watching a slow bleed out there.
Florida State is known to get some of the most elite players.
Absolutely. And we're still iconic.
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
look at our uniforms. Look at our mascot.
I tell you
look
what,
at
y'all,
Osceola running out on the field.
Oh, absolutely.
And Renegade with Osceola planting the spear.
Y'all breed running backs.
Oh yes.
Some of the greatest running backs came from Florida State.
The downside to all
that. Still.
Yeah.
The downside to all that though is they are elite and they want to make Sports Center highlights and they want to make it about how am I going to progress to the NFL.
To the NFL.
Right, to the next level.
Right.
And so the team suffers for the individual play.
Yes. But there has got to be some kind of unity that they can find with those
Absolutely.
people. But I think being there more than 1 year, obviously, breeds a more family, more where it's us against the world kind of feel.
The players are going to take care of it. The players are going to take care of their own.
Yeah.
If they like you, they're going to protect you.
Sure.
They're going to take care of you. They're going to give you holes to run through. They're going to go to bat for you on the line.
And
if they don't like you,
right.
Good luck with that.
So I agree 100%. I think it was hard for anybody to follow Jordan Travis. However, DJU was not, I don't think he was a leader in the locker room.
He was a great player. He had great skills.
He was big.
Absolutely, he had great skills.
I'm just saying, I don't think he was a rah-rah man in the locker room. And we gotta get this together, and said things to bring the guys together.
He wasn't an RG3.
So thank you. So, by the way, he's married to a beautiful Seminole. Did you know that?
Well, we'll pray for him.
I just am saying, there's some beautiful girls down there.
Well, anyway. I look at some of these elite quarterbacks that are coming out of college, and Cam Ward, got drafted first pick, going out,
I knew that was
going to the Titans.
Happen.
But here's the thing. Here's my downside to that. How many first pick quarterbacks succeed in the NFL?
Well,
very few.
Very few. But I do know one, Jameis Winston, that's still in the league. He won the Heisman in 2012. He left the league, I believe, in 2000.
Well,
I'm sorry. He won the Heisman in 2013. Then he was there one more year, went pro in 2014. Yep. I believe it's 2025 now, and he's now with the Giants. So he's been to the Bucs.
Oh,
he's
been to the
Browns,
now. Okay.
And he's now with the Giants. But they also got the quarterback from Denver. Wilson.
Yes.
He's on the roster, and they picked up another one, I think, in the draft.
In the draft, they did.
So I don't know if it's going to be quarterback by committee or what, but Jameis is still in the league. 11 years now.
Jameis got humbled.
Oh, big time. Oh,
he got humbled.
Big time. Big time.
And him and Cam Newton, same type of class.
Mm-hmm.
They both got humbled, and now you're starting to, in the last couple of years, I've seen them start smiling during the plays again, like they did in college. They're starting to understand the feel of the game.
And did you watch Jameis during the Super Bowl? He was doing like fun interviews and crazy stuff that Jameis was known for. And Jameis had a great group of guys in 2013 that just rallied around him on the team. He was a crazy man. He would be shooting a BB gun off or something.
There wasn't any crab legs to be taken.
He's got such a good sense of humor about that now. He's got such a good sense of humor.
He has been a great sport about it.
And I love him. And some people were saying, oh, please, Fox, pick him up and let him be an analyst. But then I guess the Giants offered a little more money, and he's got some kids and a family, so and nobody ever wants to quit.
That's right.
Nobody ever wants to quit. So
yeah, look at Brett Favre. He didn't want to quit.
No.
Aaron Rodgers. He still doesn't want to quit.
I watched that. Did you watch that Netflix special on Rodgers?
I did.
You guys got to be related somehow. You spell your name the same.
Somewhere down the line.
Okay.
Mona's got my sister Mona.
I've seen her.
Yeah.
I've seen the picture.
6'7" versus 4'11".
I give her credit.
Something right.
Every time
but
she brings that up.
I don't know if we're related. I haven't gotten any kickback off of it.
Sometime watch it if you haven't watched it.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
It's like
was
a series.
Okay.
But
well, it's time for him to retire.
I hate for him to go out without
being on top.
Yeah.
And
it's hard.
He should have left a couple of years ago, but it's hard to leave what you know.
I think because he's going to the Steelers now, but I think
is he really? I did not know that.
Yeah, the Steelers are picking him up.
They pick him up.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
And I think the Steelers have Metcalf. Okay. Metcalf is good, but I think his chance was George Pickens from the Steelers, but now George Pickens is going to the Cowboys, so that might have ruined his chance.
He's going back up. What's his name? Who am I thinking of?
From Ohio State.
From Dallas. From Dallas. The Dallas quarterback. That got his butt beat here on Panama City Beach.
Oh, he went to
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, right.
Yeah.
He did. I heard about that.
Every time I think of him, I think of Panama City Beach. Sorry, Dak, but you got your tail whipped.
I heard the same thing.
Every time I think of you, I think of Panama City Beach.
And it was just a miracle I wasn't there. But anyway, I'm way too old for that. But up here, I don't think I am. So.
But, and that's a great example, too, of mentality versus the NFL. In college, Dak was the man. He was leading them. But then he got into the NFL, and it's a whole different ball game then.
Especially when you're owned by Jerry Jones.
Oh, absolutely. Come on. Good Lord. But Dak came around. He accepted the change. And he played good ball. I've got, if you can stick around long enough in the NFL, you'll do good as you accept the changes. Tim Tebow couldn't, for whatever reason, he just isn't there. And I thought Tim Tebow was an amazing athlete. I don't think he was a great quarterback, but he's an amazing athlete. He should have been playing tight end, not quarterback.
I have nothing to say on that subject.
But he, if you can't.
Tim Tebow is a great analyst.
Oh, he's great. He's a great guy.
Analyst.
I'm not a Gators fan at all. Was never a Tim Tebow fan, but he is a great guy. He, you'll never hear any regret coming from his mouth. Great Christian guy. He's really an amazing guy.
I hope so.
I
hope so.
I didn't care for him as a player when he was at Florida. I hate that he didn't make it in the NFL because I really thought he had the talent to do it. But, I've seen worse for sure. But he's tried out every year, and every year he does mediocre in spring training and in the preseason, and they cut him. And he goes back to being an analyst for SEC or ESPN.
Right.
Which is basically one and the same. But,
Pretty much, yeah.
We call it ESECPN.
That's because, SEC is the best.
Yes, I've heard it all my whole life. I've heard it all my whole life. Young man. Give me a break.
Speaking of the Gators, so we I have to commend the Gators just a little bit.
Never.
They gave Texas.
I had nothing to say.
They gave Texas.
Oh, we're talking baseball now.
Right.
And that was
their second series loss.
Yeah.
Ever since the Vandy boys beat them, they've been stepping up. Maybe Tennessee will do the same. Vanderbilt beat y'all, maybe y'all step up.
Tennessee ain't happening. I think we're going to make it into the playoffs. We'll do fine in College World Series, playoffs, but I don't think we've got it this year. Last year we had it. Last year
you guys had it.
Last year was something special. This year it's a, every year it's a different team in college. That's what I like about
really
college.
Is. Every year it's like anybody's game once you get to Omaha.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get to Omaha, all bets are off.
And it's crazy because I'm comparing how they're ranking in baseball. So I've been doing a lot of research of how they rank in baseball compared to how they rank in football. And so what I found is the committee does their ranking by the series. So like say Florida State beats Clemson, 2-1 in the series. All right, and Clemson and Florida State would say Florida State was 10 and Clemson was number 1, right? So y'all beat Clemson. Y'all took the series from Clemson, right? So they tally up all of the stats from that series, and they judge from there of which team deserves to go where. So
That is interesting.
So when they tally up the entire series, they'd be like, okay, so Florida State had this many home runs against the number 1 team, and Clemson had this many home runs against the number 10 team. And so technically Florida State beat Clemson, the number 1 team, in home runs and in RBIs and in hits. So that's kind of like how they tally that, which is kind of cool.
And generally, those things really do say who's going to win the game.
Right, yeah.
Usually.
Statistics. Right.
Yes.
Well, I know last year it was really kind of cool. We were, I was set up at one of the restaurants down on the beach, doing our craft thing, and
which, by the way, is fantastic.
Thank you. And there was Tennessee was just going into the World Series, into the actual finals, and there was a lot of Tennessee fans that day, and so I was, me being a Tennessee fan, I'm like, go Vols, Vol for life, all this stuff, and then this person comes in, and we get to talking we talked for about 30 minutes, and I find out that it was Hunter Inslee's grandparents, who is the center fielder for the Tennessee Vols, still is this year. He's still doing really good. And we talked and we talked and we talked. And so I felt like I kind of had a vested interest in Hunter. And so that night I came home and I was watching the World Series or the College World Series, and Hunter hit a home run. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right.
I know how proud his grandparents are.
I know that is one of the greatest things about college sports. You just feel like your family.
Right.
Your family.
Exactly.
Right.
Your
Right.
family.
Exactly.
Your family. And I don't care. I chased down a lady in Baltimore, Maryland that had a Seminole helmet on the back of her minivan, and I said, I got to find out who this is. I got to just tell her we're family. So I chased her through, the countryside, and she probably noticed at some point that there was somebody right on her tailpipe. So she goes into the neighborhood, and she goes to her house. I know she was thinking, I shouldn't go to my house, but she pulled up in the driveway. I pulled up behind her, and I jumped out and I said, I don't want to startle you. I just want you to know I'm an Knoll, and that makes us family. And I just wanted to say, it's so good to see another Knoll here in Baltimore. And she clearly thought I was nuts. She goes, okay, stand back. Stand back. And I'm going to my house now. So say, yes, go Knowles, but, you have to go now. So a few years later, I don't even think it was a few years later. Maybe it was a couple of years, maybe two. We find out I have a mutual friend that knows her. And had heard the story way before I tell it to her. And she goes, I knew it was you. I knew it was you. So as it turns out, Melissa and I are now really very good friends. And her son, Spencer, went to FSU. And they know, hello, you guys are my family. So, I see them a lot now, going to games,
awesome.
different things.
Yeah.
But at first, Melissa was not too sure about me, and it was because she, had young kids, the whole thing, I understand. But
college football fans, whether you're SEC, ACC, Big Ten,
yeah, anything. Yeah, your
whatever.
family.
OVC even.
Yes.
We're a different breed. We like to let you know that we like who we like.
Yeah.
And if you like the same people, you're exactly right. They're your family.
family.
I was on the beach just shopping one day, and a guy came in with an Austin P. Governor shirt on. We were in the middle of a store, and Austin P.'s thing is, let's go pee.
Uh-huh.
So in the middle of the store, I'm like, let's go pee.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And the guy turned
That's
around,
great.
and only him and I knew what we were talking about.
Woo.
Everybody else was just looking at us, but we were like, let's go pee,
I think
Well,
that's great. That's why Joe and I, that's why we bonded. We've got the same spirit.
That's right,
I would
that's right.
do the same thing. I would start the chop, and people would be going,
This
Yeah.
what is happening?
I was actually registering for classes yesterday, and I walked in, and my advisor, she goes, "Oh, Vanderbilt, like that?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Go Doors." I'm like, "Go, yeah, go Doors."
Yeah.
And she was like, I was like, I'm from Nashville, so a Vandy fan. She goes, "Yeah, I'm from around Nashville too." And I'm like, "No way!" So we started talking Vanderbilt for a little while, and then she goes, "Well, I guess we better register you for classes."
I'm enjoying this to pieces, but let's do what we're here for.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I totally get you.
any F1 news this week? Anything?
McLaren is still killing it. They're still killing it. Lewis Hamilton was in a convention, so he didn't really get to practice or anything. But yeah, McLaren's still killing it. Ferrari still needs to step up. Their car is not doing good at all. Lewis Hamilton hates it.
NBA news. Minnesota's doing really good. They're killing it. Boston, yeah, we suck. We're down 3-1.
Man, y'all down 3 games.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And in every game, we've lost at least a 15-point lead. Every game.
I'm sorry. And who the Celtics playing?
The Celtics are playing the Knicks.
Okay.
And I mean, we get up 15 points, 20 points going into the third quarter. We're holding our own in the third quarter, but fourth quarter, it's like we just go sit on the bench and let them do whatever they want to do.
And that's crazy. I would be in the stands going crazy.
It is really nuts. Jason Tatum got hurt the other night, not last night, but the night before. He did something to his ankle. Really, no one was even around him. He was just making a cut, and he went down. They took him off in a wheelchair. I have no idea. I haven't seen anything on whether it was a torn ACL, just a sprained ankle. I don't know. Not ACL, but Achilles. Don't know. Don't know if he's going to be playing in the next one. But even with Tatum out, the Celtics have the talent to be able to pull it off if they just continue to play ball for the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that when, I don't even know his name, is the big center, when he's not in there, we stink for some reason. He doesn't get a lot of plays. He doesn't make a lot of points. But when he's not in, we're not on. So, and in the fourth quarter, every time they've taken him out. But they're down 3-1. Minnesota, I think, is up. They're either up 3-1 or they're tied 2-2 with Cleveland.
I know Oklahoma City is up now.
Are they?
Yep.
And
Against the Nuggets.
Dodgers?
So I didn't watch any games this week.
I didn't either.
But I do know that Otani, Mookie Betts, they're still doing their thing.
Always.
So
Otani's going to be, I'm going to tell you, I think Otani's going to be the one that breaks a lot of records. You know, as like we were talking with Pete Rose, I think he's going to be the one that
Max
can do it.
Muncy. There's a lot of havoc going on with Max Muncy. He may not be playing for the Dodgers much longer. So yeah, there's
I
something going on
like your
with
tab,
him.
by the way.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I mean,
we're
tell us a little bit
along.
about yourself. About your life in FSU. You know.
Wow. I went to my first game when I was 11 years old. And I ended up going, this is kind of an interesting story for you guys. I went to there's a lot of mixed families down here. You know, half my family, I'd say, let's see, myself, my sister, my 2 brothers, 4 of us went to the right school. I have 2 sisters that either by marriage or they went to the wrong school. Okay. So that would be Florida State being the right school, Florida being the wrong school.
Florida is the wrong school.
Hey,
You're
there
right.
you go.
Yes.
So with that being said, my sister that lives here, for whatever reason, I hadn't been down to the swamp. So I had just turned 12, and she said, "Come on, I'll take you to a game down here." And I heard it was a tough place to play, blah 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 blah. So I remember, I know you don't because you guys are younger than me, but it used to be a hot thing to wear like a button-down shirt, a pair of cords. So I had a yellow button-down shirt, and garnet pair of cords, and my sister and her husband and his dad were some big, I think they call them bull gators. They have been the people that have been throwing money at them for years and the whole thing. So we ended up, because I was 12 years old, my sister didn't want to leave me outside, so she pulls me into the bull gator den, before the game. So I'm just standing there, and I forgot to mention I was wearing a button right here that said "Go to Hell, Gators." which is something that long ago we, got started in the old Knowles. We don't, they used to go to hell, Gators, go to hell, as we were leaving the stadium. Anyway, so all of a sudden, this little woman, very short, gray-haired woman, comes straight over to our little group, and she's looking, just staring at me. And my brother-in-law's dad, I think, was there, and he said, I'd like you to meet my son, and this is her sister. And she goes, and who are you? Pointing right at me. And I said, and my sister goes, oh, this is my little sister, Cynthia. She said, well, Cynthia, you can go to hell too. And I'm thinking to myself, did she just say that to me? I mean, I'm 12, Dad's a preacher, the whole thing, the wildness hadn't kicked in yet. So I'm standing there, and she goes, I thought, and she looked at somebody that I found out later was her bodyguard, I thought we left white trash Seminoles out by the gate, by the dumpster.
Oh.
Now,
man.
okay, now that is, my brain is still forming at 12. I'm just explaining to you guys why I am as crazy as I am. And they started dragging her out of the place, and she was still ranting and raving about that go to hell Gators lady right there. I don't think she was using the word lady, but anyway. By that time, I had already been, sent straight to complete shock. And so, needless to say, my first visit to the swamp, as they call it, was very memorable, even at that young age. And I really
Was she drunk?
Oh, yeah. I
sure.
think she had a few. It was Charlie Pell's wife, by the way.
Oh.
Remember when Charlie Pell was the coach?
I
Anyway,
do.
so I don't want to keep this thing. I could tell you a billion stories, but maybe I'll come back sometime. But anyway, that started me off in my long dislike of the Gates. And but I could tell you so many stories. I have had so much fun following my Knowles. And I have seen some unbelievable plays and some plays that I wish hadn't happened. But I was in Clemson for the Potrooski. And I saw Dion run that touchdown back.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the record, he was yelling to, I can't remember who the head coach was at the time, Ford. And he said, "It's coming back, redneck." And he was yelling that to him.
Was it?
It was Danny Ford.
Are you
was
sure?
their head coach.
There wasn't-
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. It wasn't, what's his name? He's really big here. Who was after Ford?
I'm not sure.
What was his name?
It wasn't Toppy Bowden. I don't know.
Oh, that's who I was thinking of. Was
Okay,
Bowden.
wasn't Tommy Bowden. It was Danny Ford, I'm over sure. And he's over there with his ball cap on and spitting tobacco and the whole thing, And I'm like, I don't care. But Dion, was the punt returner. And he said, "Redneck, it's coming back." So the Clemson people were going cuckoo, okay? And then when he ran it all the way back, I don't know if you can see it. Well, you can see it on the replays on television. That was when you could throw stuff on the field. Mm-hmm. That's when they didn't, they had cups, things, pet bottles, everything was just flying out of the stands onto him because he had kneeled down in the end zone. And I remember thinking, and what I didn't know was I had jumped up, came down in a different place, and taken about, I'd say a foot of skin off my shin.
Oh, wow.
So not only was I jumping around, hugging people, kissing people, and doing that, I was bleeding all over everybody too. Thank God. That was before people really cared about all that stuff. But anyway, that was a memorable time too. Anyway,
That's
That
awesome.
was right around the time. That was right around the time of Saints versus Convicts.
Yes, criminals versus God. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. No, Catholics versus convicts. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because they came out of the same tunnel.
Right, it was the same time period. I remember all of this. That was a big deal. That was Notre Dame versus Miami.
Yeah.
And
the Catholics versus
there was
convicts.
There was a couple of guys at Notre Dame that had shirts made that said Catholics versus convicts.
Oh yeah.
And it became a big
if
deal.
I'm not mistaken, I think it was a bowl game that year. Miami played Penn State, and Miami showed up in all fatigues. like they were going to war. And I'm almost positive Penn State beat them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. You can look it up. But I think that was my memory. But anyway.
If you take this and you take one side of it off, you got losers. So,
Just
say-
that time.
but
guys, this has been fun.
This has been fun.
People probably tuned
Yeah.
out as soon as they heard me. But anyway,
No.
I hope they didn't.
no, we are right at time.
Yeah, it's been great.
It has been fun. This has been fun.
You guys, I will come back anytime.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Gotta tell us
having
some
me.
more stories.
Absolutely.
Oh my
So-
God, I could keep you guys here day and night.
Y'all be sure to subscribe. We are trying for that, still trying for that 50 number.
For that live, yeah. So we go live. I'm gonna bring this to you live.
I want to report more on the Panama City Panthers.
That's the semi-pro.
That's
team?
the semi-pro
good,
team.
Good. Find out about that because I want maybe go to that game Saturday night.
See, I thought about that, but we've got something going on Saturday night. It's my daughter's birthday, but we're not celebrating that until Monday. But there is something else that's going on Saturday night, so I'll probably just have to see if I can follow it on Facebook. I do like, I got to support my Wahoos, my Pensacola Wahoos. So anytime I can support a local team, I'm all in.
Yep.
I know spring ball for Little League is just finishing up. Summer League is kicking in. So support the boys this summer any way you can.
Not long before football. Football is coming up.
Yes, it is.
There will be
I just had to say that.
there will be plenty of football talk on the podcast.
All for life, baby.
So, but thank you. Appreciate you for watching, fans. Y'all be
Yep.
blessed. Vandy life.
Go Vols.
Be
Good
blessed.
Bulls.